The forest was silent, but the silence did not feel natural. The human traveler, Daniel, walked carefully through the tall, glowing trees. Each leaf seemed alive, shining faint blue light in the darkness. His boots pressed on the soft ground, and the sound echoed strangely as if the whole world was listening to him. Daniel had landed on this planet only hours ago. He was sent here as an explorer, but something inside him told him this mission would not be like the others. The air felt heavy, almost as if it carried secrets that were not meant to be spoken. He stopped for a moment and looked around. He felt eyes on him. Someone was there. Suddenly, from behind the trees, a figure appeared. She was tall, slim, and unlike any alien Daniel had ever seen. Her skin had a silver glow, her eyes large and deep, and her long dark hair fell down her back like a river of night. She looked young, almost fragile, yet there was a sharpness in her movements. Like a wild animal ready to run or fight, Daniel raised his hand slowly, showing he carried no weapon. "I am not here to harm you," he said softly. The alien girl froze, her body tense. Her eyes studied him carefully, as if every small movement was a threat. Then, slowly, she stepped back. Her voice was quiet, but carried a strange sadness when she spoke. "Stay away. Your kind is too pure for me." Daniel felt his heart jump. What did she mean by that? Why would kindness or purity be something to fear? He took a careful step forward, but the girl moved back instantly, like a shadow pulling away from light. "Wait," Daniel said, his voice calm but firm. "I don't understand. Who are you?" The girl's lips trembled as if she wanted to answer, but her fear was stronger. She looked at him like someone staring at fire, drawn to its warmth but terrified of being burned. Behind them, the forest gave a low, distant sound. It was not the wind, it was something else, something moving. Daniel noticed the girl's sudden glance to the shadows, and he realized she was not only afraid of him. She was afraid of being seen with him. Her eyes returned to his, glowing faintly in the dark. "You should not be here," she whispered. "If they find you near me, they will kill you. Leave now." Daniel felt a strange pull in his chest. He should have been afraid, but instead, he was curious. He had traveled to many planets, met different life forms, but never had he seen someone who spoke with such pain. He could not walk away. "Tell me who they are," Daniel asked. The girl shook her head. Her hands were shaking, but she held herself tall. "You do not know my people. We do not live like you. We do not feel like you. What you are is dangerous to us. Your kindness is poison to us." Daniel blinked. Her words made no sense, yet her eyes told him she believed them completely. Kindness, dangerous. He wanted to laugh at the idea, but the fear on her face stopped him. Before he could ask more, the sound in the forest grew louder. Branches cracked, heavy steps echoed, and faint metallic clicks filled the air. The girl's eyes widened with terror. She moved closer to Daniel, not out of trust, but out of desperation. "They are coming," she whispered. "You must hide." Daniel's instincts screamed to run, but something in him refused to leave her. "And what about you?" he asked. Her face turned away, her hair hiding her expression. "I cannot hide. I belong to them. But you must not let them see your heart. It will destroy you." The footsteps grew closer. Shadows moved between the glowing trees. Strange figures approached, tall and armored, their eyes burning like cold fire. Daniel could feel the danger in the air. The alien girl took one last step back. Her voice was trembling now, but her words were clear. "Your kind is too pure for me." Then she looked at him with an expression he could not understand, fear, sadness, and something else. Something hidden. Daniel knew in that moment that he could not turn back. This meeting was not an accident. The mystery of this girl, her words, and her fear would not let him go. And as the shadows closed in, Daniel realized his journey had only just begun. The night around them thickened, and the sound of the hunters' steps grew sharper. Daniel's heart raced, but his mind stayed calm. He had been trained for dangerous missions before, yet this moment felt different. The fear in the alien girl's eyes told him that this was not just about survival. This was something deeper, something he could not yet see. The girl pressed, her back against the stone of a half-broken wall, her chest rising and falling quickly. She glanced at Daniel with panic. "Why are you still here?" she whispered harshly. "You should have run when I told you." Daniel crouched low, moving beside her. "I couldn't leave you," he replied. His voice was steady, but inside he felt the weight of his choice. "If they're after you, then they'll find me anyway. I'd rather face them with you than run like a coward." Her eyes flickered, with something between surprise and disbelief. She shook her head. "You don't understand. No one stays. No one protects. My kind, we don't risk for others. To us, only survival matters. That is why you are dangerous. Your kind humans carry something we cannot face." Daniel leaned closer, whispering so the hunters would not hear. "What is it that makes me so dangerous to you?" Her lips trembled as if she wanted to say the words, but feared them. Finally, she whispered, "It is your kindness. It spreads like fire. It burns everything it touches. My people see it as a weakness, but I see it as something I cannot control. If I stay near you, I will be destroyed." Daniel stared at her, confused yet strangely moved. How could kindness be a weapon? But before he could ask more, the shadows of the hunters appeared at the edge of the trees. There were 5 of them, tall, armored, their heads covered in smooth black helmets that reflected the pale light of the forest. Their movements were silent, like predators trained to hunt without mercy. Each carried a weapon glowing faint red, humming with deadly energy. The girl pressed herself lower, fear choking her voice. "They see us together, they will know. They will kill you first, and me after." Daniel looked at her. "Then we make sure they don't see us." He pulled her gently by the arm, guiding her behind the broken wall. The girl resisted at first, then allowed him to lead. Her eyes stayed locked on him, as if trying to understand why he would even bother. The hunters moved closer, scanning the ground with strange devices. One of them stopped and pressed his claw-like hand against the soil. A low growl echoed from his helmet. "She is here," the voice hissed. The girl's breath caught. Daniel placed his hand lightly on her shoulder, a silent promise that he would not abandon her. For a brief moment, her fear softened. She had never felt such a gesture before. The hunters spread out, circling the ruins. Their red lights swept across the ground, creeping closer. Daniel knew they had only moments before being discovered. His mind raced. Searching for a way out, he noticed a collapsed section of the wall that led into a narrow passage under the ruins. It was dark and unstable, but it was their only chance. "This way," he whispered. The girl looked at the passage, then back at him. "It will collapse. We will be buried alive." "Better buried than captured," Daniel replied firmly. 4. The first time she saw something in him that made her hesitate, not weakness, not fear, but determination. Against her instincts, she nodded and followed him. They crawled through the passage, the stones scraping against their skin. Dust filled the air, and the sound of the hunters grew louder behind them. One of the hunters fired a blast, the wall shaking violently. The girl cried out softly, but Daniel held her hand, pulling her forward. When they finally emerged on the other side, they were deeper into the ruins. Broken pillars and shattered statues surrounded them, glowing faintly with alien symbols. The hunters' voices echoed in the distance, but for now, they were hidden. The girl collapsed against a fallen stone, breathing hard. Her silver skin shimmered under the faint light. Daniel sat beside her, also catching his breath. "You risked yourself," she said softly, her voice shaking. "For me? Why?" Daniel looked at her. "Because that's what humans do. We don't leave someone behind, not if we can help it." Her eyes glistened, though no tears fell. She turned her face away, as if ashamed. "Your kind is too pure for me," she whispered again. But this time, her voice carried less fear. And more wonder. The hunter's footsteps echoed again, reminding them that danger was far from over. But in that moment, Daniel knew something had changed. The girl's fear was still there. But alongside it, a small spark had begun something fragile, something dangerous to her world. But something Daniel understood well. Hope, and hope was the one thing Daniel knew could change everything. The ruins stretched around them like broken memories. Massive stone pillars leaned against each other, cracked and covered with glowing vines. Strange symbols shimmered on the walls, pulsing faintly as if alive. Daniel touched one of the symbols with his fingers, and it flickered brighter. Almost responding to him, the alien girl grabbed his hand quickly, pulling it away. "Don't," she whispered sharply. "These are not for you." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Why not? They seem harmless." She shook her head, her eyes dark with fear. "They are records. Warnings carved by my people. They sense your presence, they will call the hunters faster." Daniel studied her face, the way her silver skin glowed softly in the dim light, the way her large eyes carried both strength and sorrow. "You keep telling me what not to do," he said quietly, "but you've never told me who you are." For a long moment, the girl stayed silent. She looked at the cracked floor beneath them as if fighting an invisible war inside her. Finally, she spoke. "My name is Cerise. I was born into the Order." Daniel frowned. "The Order?" She nodded. "The rulers of this world, my people, are bound by their law. We do not choose our lives. We are told what to think, what to feel, and what to kill." Daniel listened, his jaw tightening. He had seen strict societies before, but the weight in her voice told him this was worse. "And you? Do you obey them?" Cerise's lips curled bitterly. "I tried. I followed their commands for years. But then, I saw something I was not meant to see. A ship fell from the stars years ago. It carried humans. They were weak, wounded. The Order wanted them executed. But one of them, he smiled at me. Even as he died, he smiled." Her voice shook, and she closed her eyes. "It broke me. I could not understand why anyone facing death would give such a gift. That smile haunted me. Since then, I could not follow the Order blindly. I began to question, and questioning is death in my world." Daniel's chest tightened. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "So you've been running ever since?" Cyrus nodded. "Yes, and now, because of you, I will not survive much longer." Daniel tilted his head. "Because of me? I've only tried to help you." "That is the problem," Cyrus said, her voice trembling. "You are human. You carry purity. You carry hope. If I stay near you, it will show on my face. My people will see it. They will know I have changed, and then they will end me." The words hit Daniel like a blade. He wanted to argue, to tell her that kindness was not poison, but he could see the truth in her eyes. Her people saw it as weakness, and weakness meant death. Before he could reply, the sound of footsteps returned. This time, they were closer, heavier. The hunters were spreading wider, combing the ruins with deadly precision. Syrah stood, her body tense. "We must move. Come. I will show you something. Something no human should ever see." Daniel followed her through a narrow passage between two fallen pillars. The path opened into a vast chamber hidden beneath the ruins. The air was thick with energy, and the walls glowed with moving symbols. At the center stood a towering structure of black crystal, humming with power. Daniel stared, in awe. "What is this?" Cerise lowered her head. "This is the heart of the Order. It holds the memories of my people. Every law, every command, every truth they force upon us comes from here. It shapes us, controls us. Without it, the Order would fall." Daniel stepped closer. "And you brought me here? Why?" Her eyes burned with intensity. "Because I want you to see the prison I live in. I want you to understand why your kindness is dangerous. If I let it touch me, if I let it change me, then I cannot survive here. But I also cannot stop myself from wanting it." The silence between them grew heavy. Daniel could feel her struggle, the war inside her. She wanted to trust him, yet fear chained her heart. Suddenly, the crystal pulsed brighter. The ground shook, and a sharp alarm echoed through the chamber. Cyrus gasped, "No. They know we are here." Daniel's instincts kicked in. He grabbed her hand. "Then we don't stay. Come on." But Cerise didn't move. She stared at him, her voice breaking. "You don't understand. If we run, they will find us. If we fight, we will die. The only way to survive is to give you up. If I step aside, they will not chase me anymore." Daniel gripped her hand tighter. "And if I don't let you go?" Her eyes glistened with pain. "Then you will destroy me, Daniel, because your kind is too pure for me." The hunters' voices filled the chamber, echoing like thunder. Daniel looked at her, refusing to release her hand. He didn't know what would happen next, but one thing was certain: he would not abandon her, no matter the cost. And in that moment, Cyrus realized something terrifying. The human's purity was not just dangerous, it was irresistible. The chamber trembled as the black crystal pulsed brighter. Red lines of energy crawled up the walls like veins of fire, spreading the alarm through the ruins. Cerise's silver skin shimmered in the glow, her face torn between fear and determination. Daniel tightened his grip on her hand. "We can't stay here. We have to move." But Cerise pulled back, shaking her head. "You don't understand. They will not stop. The heart has already marked you. Every hunter will know your face now. You are not safe anywhere on this world." Daniel looked into her eyes, his jaw firm. "Then I'll fight them. I won't leave you." Her breath caught. For a moment, she stared at him as if he was a creature she could not comprehend. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you keep risking yourself for me? You barely know me." Daniel's voice was steady, his words simple but strong. "Because no one deserves to live in fear. Because I can't stand by and watch someone be hunted down like an animal. If I walk away, then what kind of human am I?" The sound of metal footsteps echoed through the chamber. The hunters had entered. Their glowing weapons lit the air with a faint red haze. 5 figures spread across the room, their helmets reflecting the crystal's light. One of them stepped forward, raising his weapon. His voice cracked like thunder. "Cyrus of the Order, you are charged with betrayal. The human is marked for execution. Step aside, and you may yet live." Daniel felt Cerise tremble beside him. Her people had given her one final chance. All she had to do was step away, abandon him, and her life would be spared. Her eyes lowered. For a moment, Daniel thought she might do it. His chest tightened, but he didn't let go of her hand. He stood tall, facing the hunters. If she doesn't step aside, Daniel asked, his voice calm but sharp. The hunter aimed his weapon directly at Daniel's chest. Then she dies with you. Cirrus gasped, her whole body shaking. She looked at Daniel, her voice breaking. Do you see now? This is why I cannot stay near you. Your purity is a curse. It forces me to choose between my life and something I don't even understand. Daniel met her gaze, his expression unyielding. Then choose. But know this: if you walk away, I will not hate you. But if you stay, you won't be alone anymore. The chamber grew heavy with silence. Even the hunters seemed to wait. Cerese's hands shook, her heart torn in two. All her life, she had been taught that survival was everything, that weakness was death. And yet, standing here, looking into the human's eyes, she realized something terrifying. She wanted to believe him. The leader of the hunters barked again. Choose Cerese. Now, Cerese's knees weakened. She turned toward the hunters, her mouth opening, to surrender. But then she stopped. Daniel's hand was still wrapped around hers. Warm, unshaken, unafraid. She realized no one in her life had ever held her like this. Not with control, not with demand, but with trust. Her chest tightened. A whisper escaped her lips before she even realized it. I will not leave him. The hunters roared in anger. Their weapons charged, glowing brighter. Daniel stepped forward, pulling Cerese behind him. Then we fight. The first blast shot through the chamber, striking the wall where Daniel had stood moments before. He shoved Cerese to the ground and rolled aside, pulling a small plasma sidearm from his belt. The gun was weak compared to the hunter's weapons, but Daniel's aim was sharp. He fired, hitting one of the hunters in the chest. Sparks burst, and the creature stumbled back. Cerese's eyes widened. She had never seen anyone stand against the order. Humans were supposed to be fragile. Yet Daniel moved with fearless precision. Another hunter advanced, swinging a blade that glowed with crimson fire. Daniel blocked with a broken metal rod he had grabbed from the ground. Sparks flew as the blade struck, the force nearly knocking him down. He gritted his teeth and pushed back. Run, Cerese, he shouted. But she didn't run. She couldn't. Something inside her had already broken free. Watching him risk everything for her made her chest burn with a strange new strength. For the first time in her life, she felt the pull of something more powerful than survival. She grabbed a shard of crystal from the ground. Its edges burned her skin, but she ignored the pain. With a cry, she plunged it into the back of a hunter who was about to strike Daniel. The alien roared, stumbling before collapsing. Daniel turned, stunned. Cerese, her silver eyes blazed with fire. I will not abandon you. The remaining hunters stepped back, their weapons humming with fury. The leader raised his hand. So be it. You have chosen death. But Daniel only smiled grimly. No, she chose life, real life. Together, human and alien stood side by side, weapons raised, facing the storm. And in that moment, Cerese realized her world had already changed. The chamber shook with every blast of the hunter's weapons. Red energy beams cut across the ruins, leaving deep scars in the stone. Dust and shards rained down as the battle grew louder, brighter, deadlier. Daniel kept his back to Cerese, moving with steady focus. His plasma sidearm cracked through the air, but the weapon was weak compared to the hunter's advanced tech. Every shot was a gamble, every dodge a heartbeat away from death. Cerese fought too, though her body trembled with fear. The shard of crystal she carried glowed faintly in her grip, burning her hand, yet she refused to drop it. She had never fought against her own people before. Every strike felt like betrayal, yet every glance at Daniel reminded her why she did it. The leader of the hunters stepped forward, his blade humming with crimson fire. His voice echoed coldly from his helmet. "You cannot win, human. You stand." Against the order, this trap was set long before you even touched our world. Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Then let's break the trap." The leader raised his hand, and the ground beneath them glowed. Ceres gasped as lines of red energy spread in a circle around the chamber. Symbols lit up on the walls, brighter and brighter, until the whole room pulsed with unnatural light. "It's a binding field," Ceres whispered, her voice trembling. "We're trapped inside." Daniel glanced at her. "Meaning what?" She swallowed hard. "Meaning, we can't leave until one of us dies." The hunters tightened the circle, their weapons aimed. Daniel gritted his teeth. His weapon hummed. Weakly, its power nearly drained. He could feel sweat on his forehead, his muscles burning. Yet he refused to give in. Ceres stepped closer to him, her eyes shining with fear and something else resolve. "You don't understand. The Order planned this. They knew I was near the ruins. They wanted me to lead someone here. They wanted to test me." Daniel turned to her quickly. "Test you? For what?" Her lips trembled. "For weakness, for corruption. And now, I've failed. By standing with you, I've shown them everything. They will not forgive me." Daniel saw the pain in her face, but he also saw something new: defiance. She wasn't bowing her head anymore. She was standing taller, even while shaking. The leader's voice boomed again. "Ceres, step aside, and you may yet live. The human will die, but you will return to the Order cleansed." Daniel expected her to hesitate, but to his surprise, she lifted her chin. "No," she said firmly, her voice echoing in the chamber. "I will not return. Not to your lies, not to your chains." The hunters roared, their weapons glowing hotter. Daniel felt a surge of pride inside him. For the first time, Ceres wasn't afraid of her own people. She had chosen her path, but pride wasn't enough. They were still surrounded. Daniel crouched low, whispering quickly to Ceres, "We need to break the circle. If we overload the field, maybe it collapses." Her eyes widened. That would take enormous energy. Daniel looked at the glowing shard in her hand. "What about that?" Ceres stared at it. The crystal pulsed wildly, reacting to her touch. It was dangerous, unpredictable, but maybe that was the point. She looked at Daniel, her voice soft. "If I use it, it could kill me." Daniel's jaw tightened. "It could save us both." "I'll cover you. Do it." The hunters advanced, their steps heavy, weapons raised. Daniel fired his last shots, forcing them back for a moment, buying time. Sparks flew as beams struck the ground inches from his legs. Ceres closed her eyes, gripping the shard with both hands. The crystal burned her skin, silver blood dripping onto the floor. She cried out, but she didn't let go. Energy poured from the shard, rushing into the circle of red lines on the ground. The symbols flickered, twisting, fighting against her will. The leader roared, "Stop her!" Two hunters charged forward, blades drawn. Daniel met them head-on. He swung the broken metal rod like a staff, blocking one blade, then kicking the other hunter back with desperate strength. Sparks flew, his arms screamed with pain, but he held his ground. Almost there. Ceres shouted, her voice breaking. The shard's light grew blinding. The chamber shook violently, stones falling from the ceiling. The binding field cracked, its red lines splitting apart. The hunters stumbled, their armor flickering as the energy disrupted their systems. With a final scream, Ceres drove the shard into the ground. A shockwave erupted, throwing everyone off their feet. The hunters crashed against the walls, their weapons scattering. The leader barely stood, his blade shattering in his grip. Daniel pulled himself up, coughing from the dust. He rushed to Cerise, who lay on the floor, weak and trembling. Her hands were burned, but her eyes were still alive. "You did it," Daniel whispered, lifting her gently. Cerise looked at him with pain, but also wonder. "I don't understand. Why would you risk so much for me? Why not save yourself?" Daniel smiled faintly, "Because that's not who humans are. We fight for more than ourselves. We fight for each other." Tears welled in her eyes, though her people had no word for tears. She touched his face gently, whispering the words she once spoke in fear. "Your kind is too pure for me." But this time, it was not a warning, it was an admission. And though the trap had nearly killed them, it had also broken the last chain inside her heart. The chamber was silent after the blast, but the silence felt heavy, unnatural. Dust floated in the air like smoke, glowing faintly from the broken crystal's light. Daniel held Cerise in his arms, her breath shallow. Her skin burned where the shard had scorched her hands. "You're alive?" Daniel whispered, brushing dirt from her face. Relief softened his voice, but his eyes still scanned the shadows. He knew it wasn't over. Cerise's silver eyes flickered open. She looked at him with weak wonder, as if she couldn't believe he was still there. "You didn't run," she whispered. "I told you," Daniel said firmly. "I don't leave people behind." Before she could answer, a low growl echoed across the chamber. The leader of the hunters rose from the rubble. His armor was cracked, sparks jumping across his chest, but his eyes burned hotter than ever. He gripped a broken weapon, its blade jagged and glowing faint red. "You cannot escape," the hunter snarled. "The order does not forgive. You both will be erased." Daniel stood quickly, placing Cerise gently against the wall. "Stay here," he said. "I'll finish this." But Cerise reached out, grabbing his arm. Her touch was weak, yet desperate. "No," she said. "You can't fight him alone. He is stronger than you. If you face him, you'll die." Daniel looked into her eyes. "Maybe, but I'd rather die fighting than kneeling." Her chest tightened at his words. All her life she had been told survival was the only truth. That sacrifice was foolish. That weakness meant death. But here was a human who risked everything for someone he had only just met. And somehow, that made her want to fight too. The hunter charged, his broken blade slashing through the air. Daniel dodged, barely escaping the strike. Sparks lit the room as metal clashed against stone. Daniel countered with his rod, striking the hunter's chest. But the blow barely slowed the massive figure. The hunter swung again, knocking Daniel to the ground. His weapon hissed inches from Daniel's throat. Cerise screamed, crawling forward despite her injuries. "Stop," she cried. The hunter turned his helmet toward her, his voice dripping with contempt. "You betrayed your people for this human. You let his sickness touch you. You are already dead." Something inside Cerise snapped. She looked at Daniel, blood on his lip, but eyes still fierce. She saw his refusal to give in, his unshaken spirit. And in that moment, she realized the truth. His kindness was not poison. It was strength. A strength her world had tried to bury. Her voice shook, but her words were clear. "No, I am not dead. For the first time, I am alive." She grabbed the glowing shard still buried in the floor. The crystal burned her hand, but she ignored the pain. With all the strength left in her, she rose and plunged it into the hunter's back. The chamber exploded with light. The hunter roared in agony, his armor cracking, his body collapsing under the surge of energy. He fell to the ground, twitching violently before finally going still. The silence returned, broken only by Cerise's heavy breathing. She dropped the shard, her hands scorched and trembling. Daniel pulled himself up and caught her before she fell. You saved me, Daniel whispered. Holding her close, Cerise shook her head, tears brimming in her silver eyes. No, you saved me. You saved me from them, from myself. All my life, I believed kindness was weakness. But you showed me it's the only thing strong enough to fight them. Daniel smiled faintly, brushing her hair back. That's what makes us human. We fight with our hearts, not just our hands. Her lips trembled. Your kind is too pure for me. But this time, she did not say it in fear. She said it in awe. Suddenly, the chamber shook again. The black crystal at the center of the ruins pulsed violently, cracks spreading through its surface. The energy Cerise had forced into it was tearing it apart. Cerise's eyes widened. The heart is breaking. If it shatters, the entire city will fall. Thousands of my people will die. Daniel looked at the crystal, then back at her. Then we get out of here before it takes us with it. But Cerise didn't move. Her body shook, torn between choices. If we leave, if the heart falls, my people will lose everything. Even if they are cruel, even if they are blind, they are still my people. Daniel placed his hand gently on her cheek. And if you stay, you'll die with them. You have to decide, Cerise. Do you save the world that chained you, or do you save yourself? Her heart pounded. For the first time in her life, she realized she had a choice. A real choice. The breaking point had come, and whatever she chose now would change everything. The crystal cracked louder, beams of red light piercing the ceiling. The ruins shook as if the world itself was about to collapse. Cerise looked at Daniel, tears finally falling from her eyes. I don't know if I can do it. Daniel held her tighter. You don't have to do it alone. And together, they turned toward the storm. The chamber trembled violently as the black crystal at the center cracked wider. Red lights spilled across the walls, flickering and casting long, chaotic shadows. Dust and debris filled the air, and the sound of metal breaking echoed like distant thunder. Cerise held Daniel's hand tightly, her silver eyes wide with fear and determination. This is it, Daniel said, his voice steady despite the chaos. We either get out, or we end here. Cerise swallowed hard. Her body ached from the burns and injuries, but her mind was clearer than ever. The human beside her had shown her something her people never had: a path built on courage and kindness, not fear and rules. And now that path was all she had. She took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the broken crystal beneath her feet. It was dangerous, unstable, but it was her only chance to stop the collapse of the city above. I will do it, she whispered. Daniel shook his head. We do it together. I'm not letting you face this alone. For a moment, Cerise hesitated. She had always believed humans were weak, that their softness was their undoing. But now, she felt their strength, the strength that came from hope, from compassion, from risking everything for another. She nodded, finally understanding what he had meant all along. They stepped closer to the heart. The crystal's surface, now jagged and smoking. Red veins of energy ran through it, sparking violently with each pulse. The structure groaned, as if alive, reacting to the pressure they were about to place upon it. Cerise. Focus, Daniel said, guiding her hands toward the shard she had used against the hunter. Use it, but carefully. Channel your energy, not just your anger. Cerise closed her eyes, drawing in a steadying breath. Memories of her harsh world flashed in her mind, the cruel teachings, the fear, the distrust, but now, mixed with the warmth of Daniel's courage and the hope he had ignited in her heart. She let go of anger and doubt. She let her hands, glowing softly with her own alien energy, guide the shard into the fractured crystal. The heart roared in response, a sound that shook the entire city. Beams of red light exploded outward, threatening, to shatter everything around them. Ceres felt the power pulse through her, and her knees buckled. Daniel caught her instantly, holding her steady. "You can do it," he shouted over the roar. "I believe in you." Her silver eyes opened wide and shining with determination. "For my people." "And for you," she whispered. With a final push, she drove the shard deeper into the crystal. The explosion of energy was blinding. Flames and light surged, but instead of destruction, something miraculous happened. The red veins of the crystal began to fade, replaced by a warm, golden glow. The chamber's tremors slowed. The heart, once a weapon of control and fear, now pulsed with gentle light, radiating safety and peace instead of death. Ceres stumbled back, exhausted, leaning against Daniel. "It's done," she breathed. Daniel smiled, brushing dirt and sweat from her hair. "You did it. You saved them all." For the first time, Ceres looked beyond the ruins and chaos. Outside the chamber, the city trembled, but it wasn't collapsing. Her people emerged from the shadows, shocked and silent. They stared at the glowing heart, their fear replaced with awe and confusion. They had always feared its power, but now it was different. It was hope. One of the elders stepped forward, his eyes wide with disbelief. "The heart, it is alive." Ceres nodded, her strength returning slowly. "Alive, yes, but not for control or fear. It belongs to everyone now, and its power comes from kindness, from trust, from courage, from humanity." Daniel chuckled softly. "That's our secret. We fight with our hearts, not just our hands." Her people murmured among themselves, uncertain, but a sense of calm began to spread. For the first time in generations, they looked at her differently, as a weak, broken girl, but as a leader who had dared to believe in something greater. Ceres turned to Daniel, a smile breaking across her face for the first time. "You're kind. Maybe it is too pure for me. But it's the kind of purity I want in my world, the kind that can change everything." Daniel took her hand, his eyes warm. "And you? Are you going to leave your world behind, or will you bring this change to them?" She looked at her people, then back at him. "I will do both. I will bring hope to my world, and I will walk with you." As the golden light of the heart spread across the city, Ceres realized something she never had before. Freedom was not just surviving. Freedom was choosing what was right, even when it was hard. Even when the world doubted you. And with Daniel by her side, she knew they could face whatever came next, above the city. The sky lightened as the first rays of the sun pierced the horizon. The ruins were still there, reminders of the chaos, but for the first time, life felt possible. The alien girl had stepped away from fear, embraced hope, and discovered a future where her kind and humanity could thrive together. The world had changed, and so had she.